Hi, everyone. Great afternoon. My name is Pratibha Day, founder and host of Chai Together. I am here today with Miss Dawn Hehr, and you are tuning in for a cup of courage, hope, and imagination today here with us. So, how are you feeling, Dawn?
Doing great. It's a beautiful morning here, but it's a little on the cool side, so I'm trying to keep warm.
It is so freezing outside here. I went outside for a cappuccino, and it's like cutthroat, cold air. It's very dangerous for me, at least. But, I have coffee actually today in my Chai Together mug, and you have pineapple juice. And
I,
you said it's freshly squeezed, right? So how does that come about? How do you freshly squeeze the pineapple? Like in the just a blender or juicer?
yeah, I've been trying it out lately, and I don't know. I think it's adding to my health, so I've been trying to
Mhm.
incorporate a little bit of juicing here and in there. There was a guy named Jack LaLanne that made this amazing juicer back in the 80s and 90s, and I thought, well, if he lived to be past 100, I might as well start.
That's really funny. I wonder if that is the reason why he lived that long.
Who knows? But we got lots of fruits and vegetables in there, so we know that's what
Yeah.
helps us.
Interesting. Before I tell the viewers about you, because you are, very into health, right? Healthcare. And it's interesting because I do actually have a friend who's allergic to fruits and certain fruits and vegetables. And I find that to be mind boggling because, they say go back to Mother Earth, but there's actually people who are allergic to that. Like, what's your input on that really quickly?
I think really that we just really need to try out a variety of things to see what our allergies are, and if we have them, to switch. I mean, we have alternatives. There's a lot of alternatives out there if we just kind of do our homework and research a bit out there. That internet is full of
Hmm.
really really take hold of, and I think it's good, really
I
good.
really like that.
Yeah.
And I want to just say that I can't help but like laugh and smile. Like, since like it's the first time I'm meeting you, but your smile makes other people smile. Has anyone told you that before?
No.
Really? Like, you laughing will make someone else laugh. Like, I guess it depends who the person is. Like, hey, you're laughing, so I'm laughing too.
Right. Picture
Yeah.
happiness. I think my journey has kind of been that, is like finding my own happiness, and now I'm like, the people that I meet, I just always say I'm a
Hmm.
collector, and I'm a collector of happiness. So
Wow.
hmm
I really like that. So let me tell the viewers about you. So Dawn Hehr is a healer whose talents and offerings cover many modalities. Dawn is a practicing wellness coach, a Bowspring yoga teacher, intuitive healer, a medium, integrated energy therapist for pets and people, a death doula, and certified Do Terra-Aromatouch therapy and universal rays practitioner. Most recently, she obtained a master's teaching certification for integrated energy therapy in Sedona, Arizona. It is Dawn's passion to help others nurture the best parts of themselves by using alternative therapies to balance the mind, body, and spirit. Dawn assists in bringing the clients closer to their authentic and truest nature. It is her honor to help the individuals within the global community finding love for themselves and showing them how to take accountability for their own happiness, health, and overall wellness. And Dawn recognizes that people need guidance in many avenues of their life, and she's always shows her clients compassion and understanding as they start their journey of healing. And you can learn more about Miss Dawn at www.intuitivehealer.world and donhair.intuitive_healer on Instagram.
yes.
Wow. Firstly, I have to say all these modalities and variety of therapies. So, how did you first get started? Like, what was that pivoting moment?
I actually got cancer about 10 years ago, and
Wow.
it was my pivotal moment to recognize that I had been living my lifestyle incorrectly. I wasn't a drinker, smoker, anything like that.
Hmm.
But I definitely was consuming a lot of sugar and probably some processed foods that were contributing to my cancer. And so
Wow.
that was wake up call for me. And that wake up call really kind of led me down this rabbit hole of health. And as I unfolded my health and started getting on top of things, I started recognizing that, wait, I maybe have some gifts here that I can share with others. And
Hmm.
we'll see that there's alternative methods to our medical field. And not to say that it's not vital, because it is. Because I mean, if I was having a heart attack, I definitely would want to go to the doctor. But smaller things, skin rashes, little ailments that we have, that we really don't really need to rush to the hospital or anything like that. There are alternative methods for us to use at home. And, that can help us in the long run because we're being proactive in our own health.
Hmm.
With this journey, it's kind of led me to that point where I've assisted people in just finding out, like, okay, this hurts. Why does this hurt? And it's not just a physical thing, it's an emotional thing. So I really, really dive deep with to find out why and how we can assist physically and mentally with their emotional. So I hit all avenues with this.
You did. And I just want to quickly say you're able to hear me through and through, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't believe it's my internet, but it's kind of going in and out on your end. I just want to make sure the internet's good.
I'm kind of in a weird zone here.
It's okay. All right, I can still hear you. I just wanted to make sure, but I still picked up on what you said. So, are you able to share what kind of cancer you had, and what was your thought process when you first discovered that you did? Like, how did you feel? Did you instantly think, "Hey, I'm gonna die now"?
I actually had third stage ovarian cancer.
Hmm.
And telling me that they were going to take everything out. And I was 31 years old, and I was still
Wow.
children. And it kind of it stopped me dead in my tracks. I was a person that was running 3 miles a day, riding a mountain bike, eating lots of fruits and vegetables. I thought I was the epitome of health. And then cancer came in and decided to change my mind about how I really was living, and I was kind of living in a place of non accountability because I thought, because I was doing A, B, C, and D, that I was going to get a lot better, and I was going to stay healthy for the rest of my life. But when cancer comes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how healthy you are. It definitely will bring you to your knees, and it will make you understand that you need to love yourself. That's the biggest thing I think that cancer showed me, is that I had to love myself, and I really had to pay attention to
Mm.
me, because I think nowadays we're so quick to go, not think maybe this hurts, or I don't know, I can't breathe because maybe there's something else with anxiety, or, there's just a multitude of different things that we can kind of tune in with ourselves, but we just have to pay attention. And I
Mm.
think, I hate to bring COVID into this, but for me, COVID definitely was the wake up call for all of us to take accountability for our own health, happiness, and wellness, right?
Mhm.
And so there is a level of gratitude for me with COVID, everything that we've experienced. And I'm excited about the future. And I know that we're all going to be proactive now going forward, because we have to, really pay attention to the pandemic and the viruses and all this stuff. Maybe
Mm.
we'll start taking care of ourselves better now.
Yeah. I believe it's already started happening. I think mental health was became very prominent during COVID. A lot of wellness workshops, a lot of, focusing on, hey, we're at home, what can we do? But I am really basically thrilled to have you here today, because I've been coming across people who have passed away because they didn't take themselves to the doctor, or like, overworking themselves and not really paying attention to themselves, like you mentioned. Someone in our Try Together community passed away yesterday, and they're very supportive of what I do. And they're very successful in what they do. But when I was reading your bio, I said it's God's alignment or whatever you may believe in. That when I was reading your bio, it said you're a death doula. And I just thought to myself, wow, like as life flows, things align. You know, when you make the decision to do something, I truly do believe in that quote, if you've heard it before. So I want to ask you a question regarding being a death doula. What is that experience like for you?
Well, a lot of people only know birth doula. So that's
Mm-hmm.
into the world, right? And so death doula is actually assisting someone out of this world
Mm-hmm.
with them, creating a comfortable space, creating a lineage piece so people don't forget about them, just admiring their life while they were here, because so much of this life is forgotten when we pass away. And for
Mm-hmm.
the reason I got into that was because I had a significant other pass away. And so that was just kind of like a momentum to them. But also, it was for me to kind of dive into death and not be scared of it anymore.
Mm.
Others that our birth is as important as our death is. It's a celebration
Mm-hmm.
endings, right? The beginning and the end. And for me, I just want people to be remembered. I want people to be recognized for who they were.
Mm.
It's so often that I've gone into nursing, have their loved one, or their loved ones don't know that they accomplished something really, really cool in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I get to sit and I get to talk with them and I get to learn about them. And it's interesting because a lot of us, a lot of by the wayside, but when we're at the end of our life, that's when we should be admired the most, because we took those brave steps to do the most amazing things in our lives. And that we're not recognizing that. Like, we're happy, remember that. I want to change the dichotomy of that. I want us to all be remembered when we pass and we leave this life of all the wonderful things that we did while we were here.
Mm. Have you read the book Five Regrets of the Dying?
I haven't
Do you know about it?
heard about it yet.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I would like for you to read that just so you can share with me, even in private, what your thoughts are on that. And maybe if it, relates to your experience too, what that woman experienced with those five people. It's five different people, stories of five different, homes. So let me ask you this. So you do various forms of energy healing. Which one do you feel is the closest to your heart that you enjoy doing?
So I do integrated energy therapy and
Mm,
Jinshin Jiatsu, and I also do universal rays healing. And so for me, the strongest one out of the three is going to be the integrated energy therapy, because there's actually a channeling of angelic energy. And
mm,
my I think that my spiritual journey kind of started at 5 years old when I had an imaginary friend. And then I grew up and I realized that it was actually an angel that I had been talking to my whole entire life. And
wow.
so that's kind of what led me, to that place of energy work. With that was really understanding what that divine channel is that we all carry, and how beautiful these angels are when they come in and they save us in these amazing catastrophes.
I believe in that as well. Growing up, I had a lot of trauma, but there were always angels I came across. I never saw them again. As people, I don't know, I don't know much about the metaphysical
Sure.
world. Like, I haven't done any research, but I always met people at the right time who, quote unquote, saved my life, because I was suicidal for 12 years and I'm 28. So I was suicidal every time I was in a suicidal phase, like, closer to it. I always met someone who like took me under their wing for a short period of time, like people that I didn't know. wherever I would go, I'd meet someone like at the store or at the Barnes and Noble, and they would help me and have a conversation with me, and that would feel better. So I always considered those people my angels. And I don't know who they are now. I don't remember their names or anything, but they helped me survive to be here now and do what I do. Because if I didn't have anyone at the time, maybe I would have committed suicide. Maybe I would have, you know? So I find that to be very interesting. I don't remember any imaginary friends, but do you feel, how did you come to know that, hey, that wasn't just play, that was really an angel?
Well, I have a couple of other jobs that aren't
Yeah.
listed. The things that I do is I'm a global psychic,
Wow.
and having a lot of things happening with me, and I kept trying to seek out knowledge about it
Mm,
because all these experiences kept happening, and I had at least a day or two, sometimes 6 months to a year in advance notice prior to these things happening. And then
mm,
inspire, I would be like, what happened? How did I know this?
mhm.
So I was asking everybody around me, and no one had answers for me. And so I would say probably at 40 years old, I met this lady, and she was in a women's group, and she said, "You have something going on there." And I explained that it's because I have no idea, and I think I'm crazy right now sometimes. And so she said, "No, you've been channeling angels, and they're connected to your intuition."
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I've never heard this before. And I was completely in the dark, and I was really hungry for knowledge. And so she just kind of dived into that, and she led me through this little path of understanding that the whole time that I was probably an angel, but that I also was very connected to angels my whole entire life because of this imaginary friend I had as a child. But I've had some really interesting experiences with angels. And a lot of my clients say, "You're just so comfortable talking about them, and everybody thinks it's not real." And so
Mm.
I say, well, it's the things we can't see are the things that matter the most, right?
Did the woman tell you how you're channeling these angels? Like, what is it that you're doing? Do you know?
So basically, what you're doing is you're
Mm,
tapping into your Kundalini energy,
mhm,
the chakra based system. Or, most people would call that your light code system. And those chakras, um, they they connect us to this higher divineness within us. And
mhm,
people are very questionable about chakras, but there's these power systems in our bodies that the pharaohs knew about in Egypt, and they actually use them to benefit themselves, and they had this divine connection to the ethers, or the universe. And so um, I feel like a lot of energy work is really, everybody looks at it as like woo woo,
mm,
but if you put your hands like this, you can feel energy between your hands.
mhm, mhm,
It's just really because the angel energy is prevalent constantly with us. And I did chuckle a little bit when you said there are people that came in that were angels. Absolutely, I totally trust that. What other kind of human can come in with that type of compassion?
wow. That's really big. Yeah. Because there was specifically this one man who reminded me of my grandfather who had passed by the riverfront, right? I went to the waters. I would sit there by myself. I had depression. I would sit with a book alone. And he was fishing. And he actually told me he used to live in the same complex I used to live in. And, we had so many similarities. And he was wearing, this watch, and he was talking to me. And I never saw him again at the riverfront. I mean, I live next to the riverfront, but I just found that experience to be interesting. And, meeting other, and someone at Barnes and Nobles actually told me, and they said to me, am I a ghost? And I was like, no, are you a ghost? Like when we met one another, like as in, that it's so surreal that are you real? Like, like who are you? But that was when I was in my early 20s. But it's still really interesting to me that, you know what I mean? How people can gravitate towards you in time of need, someone who you may not even know, and they can feel, or it's like God sent or heaven sent, as people would say, for those who believe. But I want to ask you if you may explain the other modalities, that you work with. Like, what are they? What are universal rays?
So universal rays healing is a very, I say, an underground energy work. It was kind of an add-on for me to kind of put all the dots together, because I didn't know
Mm,
about chakras, I didn't know about ascended masters, angels, all these verbiage words that I kept hearing in the spiritual world. And so I had to understand what these things were. And so it's a culmination of light codes and ascended masters. It's also our meridian systems of our body, because we have this
mm,
electrical system here that really guides our nervous system. And so there's just, I would say, you know, it's everything in one. It also shows how angels and light codes and sacred geometry are all intermingled too.
wow.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. So, and what is the third one that you practice?
Shiatsu is, I say, that's a dying energy work. If you go into
Mm,
the Asian culture, they actually used to use that to diminish emotional issues within the body. And so our
oh,
hands have like all these different emotional, like, well, I would say like our heart, our liver, just all of our organs, and they
mhm.
our hand, and all of those organs have an emotional based system. Okay. And so children, when they were, way back when they didn't have anything to calm babies or anything like that, they would take their hands and they would hold the fingers.
Mm.
That would calm the nervous system so much where the babies could go to sleep. And then they realized that they could use that for anxiety for adults. And so
Hold my own. But this is why babies hold your hands or hold a finger, maybe.
exactly, because there's a comfort level with that. But it can put you to sleep really easily because it calms the nervous system just by holding the fingers.
Hmm. I feel like this is same for affection. Like when you cuddle a loved one or hold someone's hand and you feel that calmness, that comfort basically of someone being there. It's really interesting to me, everything you're talking about. You're the first guest I've had on who's speaking about universal rays and this Asian method, like therapeutic way. Like I've never heard that before, but that makes sense now. So
Mm-hmm.
like I want to ask you, going back regarding your cancer, like how do you feel about it now? And I know I possibly already know the answer to this, but do you feel that you'd be doing this work if you didn't get cancer?
I have mixed emotions about
Hmm.
that. Ask myself that question.
Yeah.
You know, I have gone down this rabbit hole. If I would have never gotten cancer, if I would have been what I thought was the epitome of health. I mean, I was the most fit in my whole entire life when I got cancer,
Yeah.
and a doctor saying, "Hey, you got third stage cancer. Like, you have to get some serious therapy here. You might pass away." And I'm looking at the guy like, I eat salads every day. I run
Right.
miles a day. I'm a mountain biker. What are you talking about? I'm going to die? Like, I live the best lifestyle. I couldn't understand it. But hindsight's 2020. I think that I was already kind of headed that direction just because my mother's a nurse, and I've always taken a holistic approach to things because my mom is so medical.
Hmm.
Her, I love her to death, but sometimes when you are educated in the medical field, that's all you rely upon. And so I have shown her some really interesting ways on how to repair her body holistically.
Mm.
Um, I think kind of sometimes there's a little challenge there to show her, Mom, there's other ways. Like, it's not,
Hmm.
you don't have to have surgery because, if it's life threatening, of course. But I think I just wanted to know how to take care of this vehicle that I have more than anything early on in my 20s. And I wanted to be, well, I have a grandmother that looks really young, and I said, I want to be a freak of nature when I hit 90. 90. And so I did anything and everything I could. And I've been juicing for a really long time. I've been growing my food for a really long time.
Wow.
So I am an educator. I like to teach people what they need to do, to make their lives better. We don't, there's a lot of things out there for us to be informed about, but if we're not doing our homework to kind of check it out, we're just kind of relying upon other people that have either experienced something,
Mm-hmm.
an illness, or known somebody that was that way too. But I'm a firm believer in, I think that we can make this last a little bit longer than what they're saying.
Yeah, I recently was watching a video about how Japan is healthier than the US. Even the lunches they serve children there are, home cooked basically in the kitchen, the fresh meals, a lot of fish. And, going back to what you were saying that you were healthy and you still got cancer, very interesting because I don't know if anyone has the answer to this because you could be any age, right? Death doesn't discriminate. You can be the healthiest person, you cannot smoke, not drink, and you can still die. Like many people have died, especially in 2020. And some of them I know of, not personally, but healthy people, financially well off, like all these great things, but they still died. And the rest of us are still here. Do you feel like anyone knows the answer to this, why things happen, how they happen? You know?
You know, Here's something really funny that
Mm.
kind of put out there is like, we're really the creators of our own destiny. And, in the death doula work, I've come to the conclusion that we're the ones that create our death. Okay. So we are also the ones that create our life. And I think, that pandemic really, there wasn't, a specific type of person that was getting sick. I have an internal medicine friend, and he said there was a 16-year-old that came in, had COVID, died the next day. And there was a 92-year-old woman that came in and she had COVID and she got better and we released her.
Yeah.
I would love to know the answer to that. But honestly, I think it's our mental that controls everything. And if we're in a state of fear, we have this nervous system that has to be um, manipulated in order for us to change our health.
Mm.
So, a lot of that manipulating is our mental space of how we think about ourselves and how we view the world around us and where we are in our victimhood. Because a lot of times, being a victim can cause enough emotional stress on the body to create a disease. And that's why these things are coming up. And, if it wouldn't have been the flu, it would have been some other kind of virus or something. But, I think that the thing that remains here is that we really, really need to pay attention. COVID is this super wake up call to take care of yourself. You
Mm.
really, really focus on mentally how you are, because that's the first, I say that's the first step of health is mentally getting there. The body is the reactor, which the reaction is going to happen because of the emotional components that you're feeling. And so these two things are, constantly showing us that we can be better. And we just aren't paying attention. And, with the COVID thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if you're old or young. If your mental state is in a state of fear, your nervous system's going to be lowered and you're going to get something, you know.
It's
It's
like, yeah, go ahead.
our mentality is the thing that compromises our health.
I thought of how when you're in, like, if there's a snake, you know, venomous snake or tiger coming towards you, it's you have to they tell you to remain calm. And it's kind of like that. It's like remain calm no matter what's going on, and that's a practice. Like that's a skill, you know, to acquire and master. I want to ask you how long has it been now since you've been practicing these different modalities, and how long have you been cancer free?
Ooh, well, I've been cancer free for over 20 years.
Wow.
And I, for me, every year when I go to get checked, it's a celebration, because I realize that I'm doing the right things. I mean, I would say I'm not perfect. I'm just like everybody else. I do have my
Mhm.
night cravings of ice cream, and I love to have, my
Yeah.
share of Oreo cookies. But in all actual reality, for me, I think that just being in a mental good state is going to keep me healthy. You know,
Mhm.
um, I don't know. I think that the cancer is really, really something that a lot of us get, and we're not even focused on that. That could even be its own pandemic in a sense, right?
Mhm.
But I don't know. I just think that mental awareness more than anything is really, where we need to start with things, and especially with cancer or any diseases. But for me in particular, I would say that being healthy for over 20 years like that, there's still moments where I still have fear too, of it ever returning. So, I think we all carry a level of fear that really interjects some scrutiny on ourselves. You know?
Thanks for saying that. I Everyone has fear. If you don't have fear, you're not human. You know, I just feel it's a human, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, you know, if unless you have a mental clinical diagnosis of why you don't feel that, I don't know. But it's good to have a little bit of fear, and it becomes crippling only when you stop yourself from accomplishing something you want, you know, for example. So the second part of my question, was, so how long have you been practicing your modalities?
I've been practicing
Therapy?
my modalities probably since early 2000. I got,
Wow. Wow. I came to this country in 1999. Wow. I was only 7 years old when you were starting.
yeah. It's funny. Even you asking me this question, I'm like, it's been a long, long time.
Yeah.
Every single day, I'm hitting this hard. I'm constantly connecting with people, trying to enliven people, to get people to understand this fear thing.
Mm.
Um, I just want to say a couple things about that. Whether you have a virus or you don't have a virus, fear is the thing that's going to bring any kind of ailment into your body. Okay,
Yes.
we have a parasympathetic system, and we have our sympathetic system, and it's our fight or flight, right? And so when we are in fear, our immune system is compromised. Okay, we don't have the ability to take on diseases or anything like that when our mental state is in fear, because we're just in shock the whole time, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
If we're in a parasympathetic system where we're able to calm down and rest, our body digests food, it works properly. And that's the side we need to be on. Not that we need to be asleep all the time or resting all the time, but it's really vital that we understand that nervous system. because it's going to be the leading indicator whether you're going to be well or sick. You know, it's your emotional based system. It's where all your emotions are all gathered together. And you can also have things genetically passed down to you emotionally too. That you
Mhm. I love that you said all that. And that's a really important one because, since coronavirus came into play, I don't have a fear-based thinking. I'm not going to stop living my life because of it. I traveled a lot throughout I went to Utah where you are. So I was still traveling and not always wearing a mask and, but nothing has happened to me. And it's not to say where I'm, being careless or that I think I'm invincible or something. It's just that we still have to live our lives, and every day is a chance, every day is a risk, but not to be so neglectful at the same time and be considerate of others, I believe, so it's so cool talking to you. So I want to ask, I know you said you have your own garden. Do you see yourself doing any kind of community project? I know you want to share this with more people. Do you see yourself doing more?
You won't even believe what I got at my
What? I don't know.
place where we are transforming even how we grow food.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting because Utah kind of brought me to love. I was wanting a partnership, and I have been growing hydroponics and growing my own garden for many, many years. And my partner actually grows microgreens. He has a company that we are going to package them up and supply them to the world. And hopefully, Pratiba, we're going to dent the world in health.
Wow.
So, microgreens are one of those things that you can grow in the dark in your house. You don't need land. You don't need anything. You don't even need a pot. You just need a pan.
What? I did not know that. See, I'm learning so much. I bet
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know this, They don't.
So I've
People
been
don't.
for a really long time. I'll tell you something really funny, and this is kind of like a little personal note that I'll share with all of you guys. But when I got my cancer, I was researching a bunch of things, and I came across a woman named Anne Larkin. She wrote a book in the early 1980s called Journey to Health. The woman lives in Florida. I'm not sure if she's still alive, but you can YouTube her. And she has a couple of videos, and there was a news center that actually did an interview on her, and they showed her and her husband, which was really interesting because she was growing all her own food in pots.
Wow.
So juicing, and she was also sprouting. She lived a life of just raw food.
Wow.
And I was enamored by her because this woman looked 30 years younger than her husband, that was the same age as her. He was on all kinds of medications because he hadn't gone to the raw diet like she did. And it was really funny because even in the video, he says, people are asking me if she's my granddaughter, and she's actually my wife. I will send you that
Yeah,
video,
send that to me.
post it on Chai Together, because this woman was amazing. And if there's anybody that I would say that really started me on understanding health in a completely different way, was this woman in Florida that decided that she was not going to eat meat anymore and live a raw diet. And the amazing, amazing skin that she had. I mean, wait till you see her. Her husband looks like he's in his 70s, and she looks like she's in her 30s.
My.
You know, I have a lot of people that I work with and do wellness coaching, a lot of holistic different things, and they always say, Dawn, how old are you? And I say, I'm 51.
Wow.
So if you want to change your life and you want to help yourself, connect to nature. Nature is the medicine, it's the food of health, it's the food of life. And we're discrediting a lot of things that we're actually connected to that
Wow.
can help us change our lives too. But there's also a lot of research out there right now that we're doing with different forms of mushrooms. And I truly believe that mushrooms are the way to our health. And I'm not talking about the psychedelic mushrooms, I'm talking mushrooms that, like
Aw.
shiitake and cordyceps and things like that, that really are paving the way in the health industry holistically. So you're going to see a lot of that, and a lot of people growing their own microgreens at home. And the world is changing, Pratiba, and we have to change with it so that
Wow.
we can make our lives a lot better, because this world is getting better in goodness. And people would probably so mad at me to say this, but I'm glad that COVID came, because it helped me to show others a lot more better things about it. It really opened up a new avenue.
I started Try Together during COVID. Hey.
Nice,
You
nice.
know? Rachel, I love how you say my name. Like, sorry, I'm talking to you, Dawn, but Rachel commented, but I like how you say my name, Pratiba. Like, I just like how your voice is when you say Pratiba. Like, I really like that, how you address me. So, Rachel is asking what's the name of Anne Larkin's book. I believe it's Journey to Health, right?
Journey to Health, I believe. And you can go on YouTube and look up Annette Larkin.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
she's
that.
quite inspiring. And when you watch the little video, it's just amazing, because even the newscasters are like, the woman is almost 60 years old and she looks like she's in her 30s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Rachel also said she loves this conversation. It's very timely for her. So yeah, if COVID hadn't happened, there will be no Try Together as well. So for me, it was a blessing. Personally, I do understand that people who lost loved ones, and it wouldn't be in that way, but
Oh,
there will be no Try Together and this whole community group and everything else we're building. So you're welcome, Rachel. And so, wow, it's the first time I'm hearing about microgreens, the terminology regarding that. So I think you're living a fascinating life. Like, I just think it's incredible. And I like that you focus on that the world is getting better, because I have friends who work, growing organic. I believe it's pronounced wolf, right? Have you heard of wolf farming, organic farming, and who do that, and other people in tiny homes, and, making the world a better place by doing environmental friendly things and sustainable living. Um, and before I was a minimalist, now I'm an essentialist, but
I
I truly,
just did that too. Yeah, it's easier
yeah,
instead of your minute things. But
yeah. It's it's interesting, but a goal of mine is to have my own tiny home, like build my own home. And I don't, why make your life difficult, as in to each their own, but that 40-40-40 vision, or how people, the American dream, how it was, it's not that anymore, for especially for my generation coming up. So it's how can we live simple and more sustainable. And even when I become financially more abundant, I still don't see the value in having such a great big home being empty, or having so many cars, and those things, they don't fulfill me, because I've had a new car. I've had everything that I really wanted at a young age, and I was still unhappy with it. But real happiness for me comes in doing this and doing things that I enjoy doing, that don't even cost a lot. And that's what brings me joy, not having fancy things or name brands, nothing wrong with them. But I've had it all, and I was suicidal. So just look at that kind of thinking. You can have it all and not have it all. So
When I had my cancer, I was running a $500,000 property management company,
Yeah.
married to a very successful man. I had the world, just like you said.
Yeah.
I needed and wanted, I had. It was accessible to me. But you know what? When you get hardship of any kind, it really makes you kind of pull back and kind of refocus and create some awareness around your life to know what's really important. And you're right, Pratipa. I swear, why all these things? We're out there trying to look for things to fill us up, and the whole time the person looking at us in the mirror is the one that's already full.
Mm.
So I'll tell you something that I do around Christmas time, just because we're close to the holidays here. And my kids, if they hear this, they're going to be so upset with me because this is something that they really, really hated. But I saw value in it. And so I brought it to a women's group and I promote it every Christmas. And what is that? Well, I always say that I would prefer to have presents rather than presents in my life during the.
Mm.
And so in my family, I've tried to tell my kids, why don't we do presents? We show up for each other. We create some type of experience with each other, and we celebrate connection instead of me going to the store and buying you a frivolous present. For why? Why am I buying you that? Because, like, for me, why am I buying those things? There's no reason. It's because we're trying to fill ourselves up. I need to have this electronic, or I need to have this car, I need to have this. And the whole time, we need to sit back and go, okay, why am I feeling like this? You know, is it something that I really need, or is it something that I just want? You know? So I love to bring that presence and presence, because people go, presents, like a present. I'm like, presence, like your connection, you holding space for somebody, you showing up for someone. That's presence. And I think that that has way more strength and power in it than the frivolous present that we give. That's meaning, right?
I agree with that. And last night I was talking to my friend about death because of someone who, passed that was in our community. And I thought to myself, that's it for them. Like they have their own show and podcast and other things they do. And that's it. You're out of here. Like you leave as is. So these things don't go with you. And I learned that when my grandma died because, she was cremated. That's what we do in the South Asian culture. But all the gold, all the nothing goes with you, like that's when I had my wake up call that it really doesn't matter, and if you feel that, buying something is going to fulfill something inside of you, that's when I believe something is wrong. And the one thing that we all always want more of is time. And the one thing you don't get back is time. So it's one of the reasons why most people go to India or other countries to find themselves when you don't actually need to go anywhere to find yourself. I had moved to Thailand. I was born in India, but I didn't need to go to India to find myself. It's through meditation, through sitting right here in this room, having a silent retreat for 4 or 5 days. I don't actually physically need to go somewhere else, even though I will be like for retreats, but you don't need a lot to do something that requires just your body, mind, and spirit, like how you say, And I'm glad I know this at 28 because the rest of my life is going to be amazing because I learned this early. And I'm also a Reiki practitioner. So I definitely understand, the things you're talking about. And I look forward to doing more things that involve spirituality for the rest of my life and not accumulating things, but experiences. Because when I leave out of here, I'm going to live a fulfilled life. So,
Absolutely. Well, that's what I find, with the death doula work. It's like, that's why for me it's so important. I need you to know what amazing thing this person did, because that's what we're leaving. We're leaving the love and the things that we do for each other. And that's why I said during Christmas time, for me, presents. I would rather have presents than presents any day of the
Yeah, and I want to say, was it yesterday was Black Friday, and you see these deals. Of course, it's marketing, it's the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I learned that because hello, I did marketing for Chai Together naturally. But there's nothing I can buy something, but there's nothing I want or need, like you were saying, and there's nothing I need. And you can't. I feel like it's a skill to not allow the outside to influence what you need versus want. And I didn't buy a thing because there's no need for it. But that's just me. I can buy something if I want, but I literally don't need anything. But when people accumulate things just because things are on sale, like I feel like that's a mindset that you have, and to each their own. But I don't get any fulfillment from that. It doesn't make me want to buy anything when I see it on sale. It's like opposite. Because it's like I don't like, I'll buy it when I like run out. Like I don't need it right now. But it was so great talking to you and hearing from you. Do you want to share anything else?
The only thing I want to share is like this Christmas, just because we've had so much separation, with COVID, I feel like this Christmas is going to be incredibly important to us because it's going to be the start of us really being, in a more fresher mindset and really understanding what's really important to us versus where we've been in the past before COVID. We were just so consumed, so socialistic, we're constantly trying to find something to make us better, to make us happy, to make us feel good, all of these kinds of things. And, just a little science for you when you're talking about the body. We have receptors on the front of our chest, a whole bunch of them. And so when I hug you, you hug me, those receptors are connected. And we actually get to heal each other in that hug. So that's why COVID was so hard.
Yes.
Now I'm a hugger. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because I need a hug.
I believe it led to some isolating feeling. Like I wanted more affection for me as well. Like I hug my mom. My dad doesn't hug. Like that's not like he doesn't want people to touch him. He doesn't like that. So in
Sure.
general, like he'll be like this. Like I believe that's something related to his own mental health, or something may have happened to where he doesn't want someone violating his body. But no, I felt like there's nobody around, like as in my friends are mainly global, but even the people, they have kids, my other friends, it's like you're not seeing them, you're not able to surround yourself. And I feel like Chai Together, when I was doing these interviews, it showed me affection in that way and supported me when I couldn't physically like hug people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that was the one thing I feel like that lacked for me as well, is affection, because I'm very affectionate, like touching, kissing, hugging, like holding hands, like that's who I am.
Yeah.
So, someone else said, this was really great. Thanks for sharing. They learned quite a bit, and first time they heard about microgreens as well. Yeah, so this was really great. I learned a lot, and I look forward to learning more and researching the stuff you said.
Out our company, steensgreens.com is what we do,
Really?
based out of Salt Lake.
Steensgreens.com. Is
Mhm.
that STEENS?
Yes.
Steensgreens.com. That's the name, correct? Okay, so check that out. I don't know who commented, but do state your name. Check out steensgreens.com. I like that name. Is that your partner's name?
His name is Austin, but
Oh,
and that's where the Steens comes.
wow.
But he owns a company with his sister, and you're gonna see a lot of great things come out of him as well.
Wow. And I think it's also fascinating how you attracted your partner, someone who, you know, is like the same as you basically in their dreams and goals, similarities. I like that.
Yeah, when you're following your true path and
Hmm.
and the universe is going to bring every single thing that you want.
Oh, I received this. all I do is watch holiday movies recently. So I receive all this positive stuff. And this was a great conversation and it aligns so well. And I'm grateful for it. So thank you for being on Chai Together today.
Thank you so much for having me and sharing
Thank
your
you.
world. You know, I just wanted to say I've watched you on here just kind of grow a little bit and you inspire me to do better too in my life. And you know, even though I've gone through all of these things, it's people like you that are going to make a dent in the world and really, really inspire people to live their best lives. So thank you so much for being
Wow.
you and bringing all of this stuff together and being brave in the midst of COVID to bring people together, even in that separation. So thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I have to reflect on that myself because I have to recognize that what have I really done, you know?
Mhm.
Like it's something big, but you don't look at it as from the I'm on the inside, so I don't see it from the outside perspective when I'm in the picture frame. So thank you for saying that because I feel like I have to see it from the outside in myself to really know. But thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. And
You're
thank you for those tuning in. And I hope everyone has a great Christmas. So
absolutely.
see you later.
Merry Christmas to you and thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.